Hello again. Well, I have in the past shown you some magazines that I bought, particularly Mojo magazines in their Essential series. We've covered Joni Mitchell and various other people. Anyway, they're renowned for their Beatles editions. So I thought, yeah, I'll dip my toe in the water. This is probably going to be more of the same, but still. And I got this one yesterday, Lennon and McCartney. And they call it Deluxe Anthology Edition. The Two of Us, 1957 to 2024. Well, I already have a volume on John Lennon, and I have a volume on Paul McCartney. This is very interesting, though. You can see how thick it is here, as you would expect. And I think for the original ones, I paid something like about £10.99 for each volume, thereabouts. I can't be absolutely sure of it, but still. There are a lot more photographs in here that I've not seen before. I think MPL have allowed more to be used in this edition. On the back, Lennon and McCartney, Mojo's finest writing on the world's greatest songwriters. It says our John Lennon and Paul McCartney specials in a single deluxe anthology edition. Now inside it says here, I'll read this to you, that copies of other sorts of things that they've done anyway. Let It Be. In December 1963, the Times critic Richard Buckle described John Lennon and Paul McCartney as the greatest composers since Beethoven. Praise indeed, especially since at that point their extraordinary journey as songwriters had barely begun. In the following years, the songs of John and Paul wrote for the Beatles would not only mirror the exciting new possibilities that the 1960s offered, but invented a new musical language that transformed pop and rock into a serious art form. In reality, after 1963, John and Paul mostly wrote separately, which means their songs often contained fascinating insights into their two very different personalities behind the famous joint writing credit, as of course do their respective solo works. McCartney's post-Beatle career now stretches to over 30 albums. I would have thought it's more than that, actually, including 9 with his 1970s band Wings, while Lennon's output was tragically cut short when he was murdered in 1980. His death came just weeks after he and wife Yoko Ono had returned from a 5-year sabbatical with their wonderful Double Fantasy album. One can only imagine what gems might have followed. This special edition brings together the Lennon and McCartney bookazines, as they call them. That's a terrible phrase, isn't it? That Mojo first published in 2021. We hope you'll enjoy them in this deluxe anthology format, perhaps while soaking up the timeless sounds of Beethoven's esteemed successors. And that's written by Pat Gilbert. Yes, we'll put out the same thing again. But having said that, there are some really lovely photographs. Some great writing, as there always is. Photographs of Yoko. I haven't got the two to compare side by side at present because I've had to store them away. Very pensive pose there of Paul, isn't it? There's tons and tons of writing in here. And you may well wonder the price. Now, I think for the individual volumes, when I bought them a few years ago, I think they were about £10.99 each-ish. This is quite good value if you haven't already got them and you're not bothered about a couple of the other things that are in here that weren't in the other issues. And it comes out at £13.99. US dollars, that's $24.99, and Canadian dollars, $26.99. It says issue 57. The Beatles and Solo, the finest writers, the full stories. There you have it. Maybe you want to buy this, maybe you've already bought this. I only acquired this in the last couple of days anyway, but it'll go alongside the other Beatles ephemera, etc. Oh, and I believe George Harrison's, I think it's his first electric guitar, a Futurama, which was purchased for originally for I think about £57. That's in Liverpool at the moment for people to go and see. I think it's at the Beatles Museum, and then it's going up for auction, and some people estimate that that will go possibly for about £700,000. Amazing. I don't know who owned that guitar or how it came out of George's hands, who he'd passed it on to, but still a piece of Beatles history, and everybody likes a piece of that. That's why they all command such high prices. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll look in again soon, and if you've enjoyed it, please tick a like. Bye for now.